What do you think are the most common case expenses that you see, so that the people that are watching this can understand this is where the money gets spent and why it gets spent commonly if it's going to happen?
The constant is the cost of getting medical records
Sure.
and other information relative to the case. Medical providers often charge a pretty hefty amount to get their records, and they still do that even though we don't even exchange paper much anymore. But there's a lot of expense that goes into getting a hold of medical records, medical bills. We got to pay to get the information from the police department. Oftentimes it's not just the crash report, but it might be body cam footage, photographs, statements that the police have secured. So there are a lot of ways that money gets spent in every case that you just have to. The medical bills, the police file, it's the more discretionary stuff that depends on really what you can hope to receive in the case and how much insurance there is to cover it.
So when we're talking about discretionary, we're talking about like independent medical examinations, right? Are we talking about anything else that you consider to be more discretionary? Because obviously there's case expenditures, again, like medical bills, police files, filing fees. These are things that every case has, basically, for personal injury. But on the discretionary end, we have independent medical examinations. What else do you think is more of a discretionary expense?
Independent medical examinations are, for those who aren't aware, an independent medical examination, that's where we actually go out and hire a doctor to examine our client and to look at all of the medical records in the case to then give opinions, because oftentimes medical records themselves don't address things like causation of the injuries, or what kind of permanent restrictions a person might have, or whether they're going to be as good as new or have permanent disability from the crash. So oftentimes you have to hire an independent medical examiner to do that. It's also useful in cases where somebody has seen a ton of doctors. These medical depositions, and you have to have them for trial. But if I'm representing somebody that's been treated by 6 different specialists, if I go out and take all those depositions and get them on videotape for trial, you're probably going to drop $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 on those. Whereas if you hire an independent medical examiner, you can get it pretty much all from one person who has reviewed all the records and done an examination on the injured person. Another area of discretionary spending would be an economist. Because, for example, somebody that's been in a motorcycle crash that has really significant physical limitations, maybe the kind of limitations that don't allow them to do all the kind of work that they've ever done in their life, you hire an economist to do a scientific approach to what the future loss of earning capacity is, because really you can't prove that without an economist. But again, this goes back to, but what are the insurance policy limits? Because if we're dealing with a $25,000 policy, the economist is going to cost us several $1,000s. Wouldn't make much sense.
Want more biker content? Subscribe to the Biker Lawyers and check out the links in the description.
Brought to you by the Biker Lawyers. Injured? Ride with us.